pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next thing on the agenda is public inputs. Michael.
I have a couple issues. The first one is that I had come across some information approximately 3 or 4 weeks ago that I shared with Commissioner Richelli. And it was information that could have led to a domestic incident or possibly a violent incident. And I expected him to share it with the police department, and I have no problem with it that he shared it. I have a problem with the police department that they went to the person's residence who I said could possibly be involved in the incident, and they gave that person my name directly. And the problem that I have with that is that the police department has always operated in the past where they don't give people's names out all the time, that there are times where people remain anonymous and they take that information and they use it to either monitor a situation or to maybe look into a situation, but they don't go and intentionally try to start a problem between people that reside in this town. And for the police department to do that, I can't even imagine that they did that. And I went in and I talked to Captain Smith about it, and Captain Smith told me that I had filed a complaint with the police department. And I didn't understand why he was saying I filed a complaint with the police department when I never spoke to the police department. I never went into the police department. I never talked to any police officers in the police department. I shared information with Commissioner Richelli about a situation that could go out of hand. And it was after a shooting at Parkland Schools, and it allegedly involved a police officer that was flagged down by a resident in town. The information was third hand. I didn't know it to be a fact. And I told Commissioner Richelli this in the email that I sent them. And he shared the email with the captain. The captain admitted that he got the email from Commissioner Richelli. So he knows that by reading that email, that I said in that email that it was third-party information. So why would the police department go and give my name to somebody and say, Michael Bracken said? And not only that, they went above and beyond what was in that email, and they said that I allegedly said, and this is according to the person that they spoke to, who I named in my email, that I said that there was an assault that took place. I never said that there was an assault. And Captain Smith says, even still, when I said to him that I hadn't been in the police department and I never spoke to anybody in the police department, that my contacting Commissioner Richelli was a complaint to the police department. And I think that that's wrong. I think what you did was wrong. I went on Facebook, I posted what you did, and a lot of people are upset about it. And I, for one, will never report anything to the police department or anybody else if I see something. And I think there's a lot of people, because of what you did, that'll never report anything as well. Because what you did is you took confidential information and you screwed me with it. And people, that's what people are afraid of. That's why people don't get involved in today's issues now, is because the police department sticks it to them. And that's exactly what was done to me.
One more minute, Mike.
The other thing, since I have 1 minute, I went to an FOI hearing today, and just so everybody knows, I didn't lose, I didn't win. I have to resubmit my FOI request for Diane Potemski's personnel file. So Chief, I understand that according to Carl Andolina, that you showed up at the last hearing that I missed. And apparently Diane Potensky went with either you or Carl. I don't know who she rode with, but I understand she went with one of you, according to him today, at today's hearing. I don't understand how she rode with the town when she lied in that internal investigation. She lied about saying that it was me that made the comment that that guy was coming to the department for suicide by cop. She's on audio making that statement. And if she rode with you, that's wrong, because she's on audio tape making that statement. I got fired for it.
Okay, Mike, time. Any other public input? Mr. Russo.
William Russo, 407 Elmwood Drive, Town. I have a complaint against the chief, and I believe I may as well add the captain to that as well. I have a letter written up here, which I had intended to give everybody a copy of, but I ran out of time. And that just goes, gentlemen, I recently sent an FOI request to the Finance Department to review expenses that were submitted and recorded in the Windsor Police Department budget account number 200-363. Upon review, I found many discrepancies in items of concern that were submitted for payment and signed off by Chief Personage. Now, the list that I'm going to read here is not complete and extensive, it's just part of what I discovered. And I have indicated to the Chairman of the Board of Finance, I'm prepared to audit each account number in the police department budget. Okay, first of all, I found coffee and donuts charged regularly for firearms training. We have an educational reimbursement to an officer who I'll let remain anonymous, but he submitted it under contract language, and the contract language reads, if no state and federal funds are available. And I asked the chief if there had been any search for state and federal funds before this person was reimbursed. As it's submitted, it shouldn't be paid. However, let me say this, I'm not out to injure any of our Windsor Locks police officers, but I would like the contract language corrected. If we're not going to be required to search for state and federal funds, just change it, okay? Instead of just the chief going to San Francisco, the captain went as well. I think that's a little extravagant. I understand he's probably the designated power to be after the chief, but I think that that's an extravagant expense on behalf of the town. This last one here is definitely a fraudulent entry, and it pertains to Officer Devaney attending a narcotics school in Rhode Island, and it was charged off under account number 2-374, copy attached. And it was charged off to, I believe, detective supplies and equipment. Definitely a fraudulent entry. Got nothing to do with training that account. In certain submissions for payment, Chief Personage clearly and intentionally ignored and violated town charter sections cited below. Chief Personage has participated in preparation